Hello everyone, I all hope you're enjoying your wonderful, great day indeed, and also your great blessed day indeed. As you can see, guys, today's day is very quietly, superly beautiful, and also but still quietly, still hot as well, and also still but quietly hot as well, and also still about also about cold as well, as well in a middle center. But despite that, guys, I all hope you're quietly just warm and also quietly just home and enjoying yourself and also having a wonderful blessed day. Despite that, guys, I'm very grateful for you guys who are still staying with me on my journey and everything else and on my journey as well, and also supporting me as well. Excuse me, and also quietly supporting me as well. Regardless of the light, guys, I'm very grateful for your guys' support. Enjoy your day and have a great, blessed day and enjoy yourself as well. May God bless you and protect you all and also stay safe as well. So very grateful and also very highly appreciative. Stay warm and stay safe. On today's episode, we are to speak about Zackent's Darkest, who is a powerful, formidable dark formation hunter, and who is a very greater, deadly, one of the most deadliest sacred criminals of the entire sacred world's history. It's also known that Zackent's Darkest is also a former member of a group of a powerful of a powerful, sinister, shadowy group of evil Phoenician hunters known as the Shadow Force that was quietly formed within the earliest years when Valakal Fire began the uprising of the evil shadow force of the Phoenician hunters in order for them to proceeding with a sinister plan to wiping out and exterminating the supernaturals, aliens, superhumans, and the Phoenician hunters in the process as well. Despite that, Zacchaeus Darkest very quietly felt committed to the goals of the Shadow Force and very quietly believed in the mission that the original Lord of Magic was also started in the extermination and also in the annihilation of the supernaturals and of the superhumans and of the aliens in the process, which created a friction between the four nation hunters and with the other sacred hunters of the sacred world, such as the seven nation hunters, the two nation hunters, the 100 nation hunters, the 200 nation hunters, the 12 nation hunters, and the 9 nation hunters, which they all began fighting amongst themselves and turning amongst each other, which created an all-out war from all sizes. Despite that, and also regardless of that, Zacchaeus Darkest believed in Balak Fire. He became Balak Fire's closest friend to the goal and to the mission. That the both of them completely share a common interest with a common goals, and also believing in the original status quo of the original Dodo Magic's philosophy and also mission in aligning in completely trying to annihilate all the creatures of the sacred world by placing the sole dominance of his people and of his kind over to the sacred world's governments, worlds, nations, and all of that is one in the process. Despite that, Zacchaeus Darkest and Balak Fire still carried on with the extermination goal and with the extermination mission to eradicate everything and all its creatures, to saving humanity from being plagued by darkness and from being plagued by the monsters of dark, from being plagued by the creatures of the sacred world into further darkness, which is exactly how they were able to, which is what they actually believed in their own perspectivity, which drove them insane and also to gratefully into insane madness, which they were rumored to be known as one of the most darkest Four Nation hunters in Four Nation hunter history and in the sacred world's greatest, darkest history of all sacred history, which they were quietly known about that as well. But despite that, Zacchaeus Darkest still believed in the honor of the Four Nation Hunters and in the ancient ways of the Four Nation Hunters, which he educated the fellow followers of the Dark Four Nation Hunters to proceeding with the goals of the Shadow Force. So let's get started. In Zacchaeus Darkest's in his earliest life, around the time of the earliest year within the Four Nation Hunter Academy, he and Balak Hellfire exactly met up as long time comrades, as both of them were able to be highly, gratefully skillful, honored Four Nation Hunter leaders of each of the group. They both exactly fell in excuse me, they both actually fell in love with the one of the most powerful women of the other Four Nation Hunter clans, and warring clans and nations within, such as the origin races and some of the other Phoenician hunter families. Regardless of the less, Zacchaeus Darkest was also very quietly highly committed in helping Malachal Fire fighting the war against the monsters of the Dark Dimension, which was solely on the brink of destroying everything else in its sight by laying waste to humanity in the process. Regardless of the less, Malachal Fire and Zacchaeus Darkest pleaded with the Phoenician Hunter Council that they must exactly see to their own reason perspectivity in order to grow and regroup their forces to fighting up against the monsters of the Dark Universe. Regardless of the less, the Phoenician Hunter elders of the Council, they don't exactly listen to their reasoning or either to their true commitment or either to their true ideals of their own respective goals. Despite that, Malachal Fire and Zacchaeus Darkest decided it's best to start a powerful group of great dedicated Phoenician hunters in order to restoring peace and balance to the sacred world and to the known other worlds, which was, after all, part of the elaborate plan in order to restoring sacred peace to mankind. With that exactly being able to exactly to go on, Greg Unity and Crystal Ferris and Ivy's mother, who was Freya Ferris, and the other parents and the other Phoenician hunter parents of the other descendants of the other of their children of their superheroes, which were quietly some of them that I quietly exactly introduced to within the other few episodes, were able to join forces with Valak Fire during the early days, and they began exactly forming the Shadow Force. When the Shadow Force was quietly formed with its original members, the other original members drew attention to more members of each Phoenician Hunter family, such as the great Starwood family, and such as the great Growler family, and all the other particular Phoenician Hunter members, particular Phoenician Hunter families of the entire Sacred World began joining forces. Around the nearest time of the Great Years, Valak Fire exactly felt highly convicted with Zacchaeus Dock, as the both of them exactly discovered that the method for sacred peace weren't exactly taking effective action. So they decided to take the darkest, rootable, evilest turn of all by experimenting with supernatural blood creatures and with shadow energy in the process, due to the original Lord of Magic secretly giving them more information and also highly untapped, unique and dangerous, powerful, forbidden, darkest techniques that he was never able to perform due to his greater body's deterioration, him exactly falling a bit sick and ill, and with this illness to him infusing himself with shadow energy, his body could not exactly tolerate the new techniques and the powers that he was about to exactly gain. So instead of exactly trying to give those powers to himself, he decided it's best to pass the knowledge to his trusted and most worthiest, greatest comrades of all centuries, such as Valak Hellfire and as well as Zacchaeus Darkest as well, in order for them to use those techniques to furthering their goals and their true mission as well in the process. Despite that, Zacchaeus Darkest was very quietly unappreciative of the new techniques and one of the darkest and most forbidden techniques of all, as he began injecting and infusing himself with the serum, with the dosage of the greater serum of shadow energy, rather than to exactly infusing himself with the purple components of shadow energy in its truest darkest form. They exactly receive only serums of it, rather to exactly going down to the same path that the original Lord of Magic actually went into, since they now actually see the higher price of shadow energy killing the body and its true host of its body within its deterioration, within its greater deterioration aspects as well. Despite that, Zacchaeus Darkers continued to exactly injecting himself with the shadow energy serum and with the supernatural bloodline with the supernatural blood DNA of the blood, in order to add it to his own, bodies as well. Regardless of the last, the two of them completely out went out of their way, and they lost their humanity and their serenity in the process. The both of them went completely insane, as in literally in a brink of insanity, and the two of them disappeared within the earliest years after they completely injected themselves with the serums of each supernatural creature and with the serums of shadow energy. Around that time when they disappeared, another secret, shadowy, powerful ancient, unknown ancient secret society of an evil alien of evil alien godlike criminal creatures began rising to the precipice known as Sacred Bolt that was on the brink of destroying the entire origin, worlds and planets and civilization in the process, which the original members of the Shadow Force were forced to stop one of the most deadliest ancient alien criminal organizations before their plans could actually solidify or either bear fruit, which they were able to cripple it and they were able to banish the ancient alien criminals to the far to an unknown dimension, which they were able to be trapped during the time for the imprisonment and against their crimes against the sacred society of the sacred world and of the sacred universe as well in the actual process. Despite that, Valakel Fire and Zackent's Darkest returned within the later year after the great powerful or all powerful ancient sinister alien criminals were banished into the unknown pocket dimension, which was quietly which was quietly close by to Origin World's inner star system, but not exactly on the far fringe of it. Despite that, Valakal Fire and Zackent's Darkest returned within the later years after the most powerful alien criminals were banished and they began executing their abominable plan right away, which created further chaos and disharmony within the other worlds and within the four-nation hunter government itself, which the warriors were forced to fight against one of their own, and some of the original members of the Shadow Force began defecting from the group, while the others fought against the other previous members. Ivy Ferris Hellfire's mother began fighting up against Valak Hellfire in order to taking him down once and for all. But the both of them successfully succeeded in exactly achieving what they did, almost exactly destroying and decimating the entire supernatural and alien and superhumans in the process, which could have resulted in all-out war in the actual event. Despite that, Malak Hellfire was quietly rumored to be dead, and so was Zackent's Darkest, who took it upon himself to disappear and never seen again after the greatest attack began taking place as well. After the great fanatical war and collateral damage and conflict among hunters fighting against hunters, Zackent's Darkest was never seen or heard of since Origin World was destroyed and all origins were quietly forced to be scattered, and some of the prophesized child was quietly known to exactly to be dead, went on planet Earth to be born there and to be raised there. Zackent's Darkest took it upon himself to remain within the shadows of the entire sacred world, which is exactly what he did in order to maintain his entire plan and goal in the shadows. That by doing so, he kept tabs on everything that was completely going down. He kept watch and silently waited and still waiting silently as he kept watch and kept on watching and listening and hearing everything, due to him exactly remaining to be alive, and Balak Fire due to them also to him believing to be so-called to be dead. Their followers still remained in the shadows and still exactly worked with them in the shadows as well. In the shadows as well. On the actual later years, Zackent's Darkest received an anonymous invitation to join a powerful, sinister, unknown ancient group of shadowy, powerful, dangerous super criminals, which was supposed to actually reconvene with them on a deadly dark cave, which was able to project a shadowy astral projection of himself, which only resulted in a shadowy projection of himself, not exactly the real him appear, but also the astral projection of himself, which was quietly a shadow projection of himself, but his eyes remain the same as always. On that ancient cave, where the cave's location is quietly disclosed, he was able to meet up with the other ancient super criminals and super villains, some evil, 4 nation hunters, some evil, 7 nation hunters, 2 nation hunters, an unknown supernatural creature, even a hybrid creature, even an unknown supernatural supervillain or criminal also began meeting up on the very, very ancient cave where they all exactly began to convene. The leader of the group began telling Zack and his stalkers that they officially welcomed him to the group, stated that they know well about his reputation and they quietly are well aware of his great work and his great commitment to the goal of the original Lord of Magic. In doing so, they asked him to accept the invitation for them to exactly joining forces with their goals and combining their resources to furthering their goals in a common interest as well. Zacchaeus Darkus exactly accepted the invitation and told the leader of the group that he accept to joining forces with the other sinister, ancient, shadowy criminals, which he realizes that he could benefit more if he joins forces with them, and that thus in doing so could also benefit more, could also benefit him also greatly by speeding up the process of his sinister plan, which could also aid him to complete his goal faster than without any other delays in the process as well. And the leader was very happy to welcome Zacchaeus Darkus into the group. The leader's eyes were very quietly purple, as in literally totally purple, just to show Zacchaeus Darkus that is in power and also he's the one in control of the organization as well. On the on the actual on the actual on the actual 27th of March, the organization began reconvening on a different cave where they all exactly presented shadowy astral projections of themselves. And Zacchaeus Darkus exactly told the members of the organization, and with the death of Balakal Fire and the death of the original Lord of Magic within the 2 months that completely passed away, has created nothing but a chaos and turmoil from both of the factions, from both of the several of the factions and of the organization since the loss of them exactly spoke. Regardless of that, Zacchaeus Darkus also told the leader that he's been keeping tabs and progress of Balakal Fire since he returned in order to finish his goal and his ultimate plan to exterminating the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans in the process. The leader of the organization told Zacchaeus Darkus, despite that, they quietly felt very saddened with the great departure of Balak Hellfire and with the great death of the great original World of Magic, which they all quietly admired and quietly viewed due to his greater perseverance and due to him exactly fulfilling his goal and due to him to fulfilling his goal and his ID and his greater ideology in a very, very greater and most astonishing way. For that, they'll exactly remember him and honor him and also exactly remembering him and also to try to mourn him very quietly. But regardless of that, the organization's goals must still begin taking place and they must still continue without any further interference. And Zacchaeus Darkus completely agreed with the leader of the organization as well. On the on the actual 12th of April, on the actual 12th of April, Zacchaeus Darkus was quietly in his different base of operation where his different base of operation quietly houses ancient powerful statues of great origin hunters and godlike creatures, which some were quietly on the outside of the cave, while the other was quietly within the waterfall, while the others were quietly inside the actual cave itself. Despite that, Zacchaeus Darkus exactly met up with the evil Phoenician hunters, who were formerly part of the Shadow Force, and exactly decided to exactly completing their goals and their plans with Zacchaeus once and for all. The members exactly told Zacchaeus Darkus that some of the members of his family have decided to join forces with the Universal Defending Heroes, while the others are officially becoming members of the Universal Heroes in the actual process. Zacchaeus Darkus didn't seem quietly shocked or surprised of the news when he actually told the followers that he was quietly not exactly surprised of the news either way, and he told his followers that it was only a matter of time before one of his descendants became superheroes and while the others became super criminals. Either way, it was quietly inevitable, and they can never actually predict it or either stop it from coming. So he was beyond their natural controlling. But despite that, Zacchaeus Darkus told his followers they must proceeding with their goals and with their plans right away, which is very crucial for them to beginning their own great goal and their own great completion the on-grade completion of their goal and of their sole control of the sacred universe and of the known worlds in the process, which they all came to agree on that as well. On the on the 22 of May, Zacchaeus Darkest was quietly present during the next meeting with the ancient criminal organization, which was actually to begin to seal another dark wizard's powers within the ancient monster statue, as the leader began telling the newest members and the former members of the organization that their goals are still proceeding according to plan, the way they're supposed to be, and that everything else will go on the way it needs to be. Regardless of that, the newest member began asking the leader of the organization's goals and purpose and plans, while the leader began to actually decided to rather to enlighten him and also decided its best to exactly informing him what exactly is going on. Zackent's shadowy astro projection remained completely silent, as did all the other members as well, as they listened to the leader explaining the organization's goals and its true motives and its true long-term plans and sinister ultimate goals in the process, to speeding up the process of their goals and of their plans in the actual event when is exactly happening to take place as well. On the 17th of June, Zacchaeus Darkest exactly returned to the former hideout of the sacred orphanage, which used to actually house many war orphans of supernatural vampires, creatures, Phoenician hunters, and unknown alien creatures, which were quietly taken in during to the states of the during to the states of the sacred great nations, wars and civil wars and conflicts that rained down during the great earlier years and centuries as well. He went down there into the hideout, which was quietly buried within the mountains, and he was able to find a very, 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 very formidable ancient book that contained every context and every forbidden knowledge on all the ancient monsters and creatures and beings of the dark dimension and all the supernaturals of the sacred world, meaning the ones that were never completely unmentioned. Zacchaeus Darkest took it upon himself to keep the knowledge and everything of the book to himself until he finds a way to actually to dispose it or to give it to someone who has better knowledge and greater taste in using its knowledge and its context to pursue furthering their goals and their plans once and for all as well. On the on the actual 16th of July, on the actual 16th of July, Zacchaeus Darkest was quietly present during the next meeting as his astro shadowy projection began showing up with the rest of the other members' shadowy astro projections, or with the rest of the other members' shadowy astro projections on a different base of operation, which was also a powerful sealed dark mythical cave that contained no statues, no paintings, no nothing, just an ordinary cave and with nothing else behind it, which would make it the perfect base of operation in order for them to exactly meet up. The leader of the organization exactly told the members that there's been a change of plans. None of the members of the United Heroes will be cleared of their crimes against the attack of the other worlds, against the attack of the other worlds and civilization, which means, in other words, that they must exactly remain in full secrecy in order to beginning the next sealing step of sealing the next powerful warlock or warlord or druid or any type of magical creature, which will also result in the monster statue being destroyed in a process, since it already sealed another dark wizard or creature within its true power and within its true greater potential, which the process must be halted just for enough until they can get as much intelligence as they need to. And Zacchaeus Darkest remained completely silent as the other two members began to agree on that, and urging the other members that they also began to agree on that and also began to accepting the proposition of remaining low just for the time being as well. On the on the great on the 11th on the actual 11th of August on the actual 11th of August, Zacchaeus Darkus exactly took it upon himself to actually to return to the great homeland of the Four Nation Hunter City, where he was quietly in a different, very much quiet in a different disguise. But the cloak of the organization that he was quietly wearing, which was very much quietly a rather of a black or greenish cloak that symbolizes the organization itself as well, still remained with him. He returned and walked through the we returned and walked through the entire homeland of the Four Nation Hunter city, where the other Four Nation Hunter warriors began to recognize the cloak itself and begin to know that the cloak itself represents one of the most deadliest, ancient, sinister criminal organizations that were never quietly known or mentioned. The Four Nation Hunters decided to fight Zacchaeus Darkus right away, which he came with a partner as well. A partner of the organization as well came with him as well in order to fight up against the obstacle that were completely standing on the way. They fought them near to the waterfall of the city, which both of them exactly were able to literally successfully win the battle due to the next interference of the other member of the other member of the other member of the Universal Warriors began to successfully return just in the nick of time in order to even the odds. Zacchaeus Stalker took it upon himself to tell his partner that they have to kidnap the member of the Universal Water Heroes, since he completely knows too much about what exactly is going on, that they might exactly need him as well. His partner completely rushed in and exactly decided to take measures himself in order to fight the member of the Universal Warriors. Until then, the other Foundation Hunter warriors began returning. Zacchaeus Darkus exactly told his partner that they have to retreat in order to avoid a heavy to avoid a heavy scale of a battle, and that will also attract more unwanted attention. They took it upon themselves to teleport themselves away, and they actually completely vanished. On the on the actual 20th on the actual 20th of September on the actual 20th of September, Zacchaeus Darkus's shadowy astral projection was present during the next sealing a powerful of sealing a next powerful fire fairy within the monster statue, where he remained completely silent and highly focused in sealing the supernatural creature's powers and abilities inside the monster statue, as all did the other members exactly did the exact same thing. On the 17th of October, Zacchaeus Dawkins exactly returned to the hideout of the organization, where there was nothing, where there was villages and the great villages were quietly close by to the sea, until the mysterious mysterious mask mysterious masked man exactly appeared before him and told Zacchaeus Dawkins that he even exactly made a big mistake in keeping himself hidden for far too long, at least to the one closest to him and also to the one also related to his goals and to his former mission as well, which both of them exactly share the same common goal and the same common interest as well. Regardless of that, Zacchaeus Dawkins exactly told the masked figure that he would also quietly felt very quietly better to knowing that he was the one also in charge and also the one also taking control of the organization's direction, rather than to allow his mysterious collaborator be the one pulling the strings from the shadows. Regardless of the last Masked Man decided to reveal his face to Zacchaeus Dawkins as a show of great trust, as a show of great trust and a true great loyalty to his long term friend and colleague, in a very greatly new, since the both of them exactly share the same goal and the shared belief of a former greater former collaborator and friend known as the original Lord of Magic and Balak Fire, which the two of them exactly viewed as true monitoring honored friends of their own. Zacchaeus Dawkins exactly told the masked man figure who exposed his face to him that he was quietly intrigued to seeing his face after such a long absence of him remaining in secret communication with him. Despite that, the masked figure told Zacchaeus Dawkins that both of them are quietly partners and that they both of them can easily trust one another on their different opinions of their goals, and that they do share the same goals, and that him acting as a secret shadowy ally, maintaining his true identity and keeping his true identity and himself hidden is what exactly required to be best of the organization, to making sure that the universal heroes and the allies don't suspect a thing and never know that he was quietly behind everything that quietly took in place within the past seven great ancient years and great ancient times as well. And Zacchaeus Douglas began to agree with the masked stranger as he exactly told him that he has his trust and he has his reassurance that he won't exactly expose him or any of them, since the both of them now share common interest. On the on the 18 18th of October, Zacchaeus Douglas was quietly present during the next sealing of the water fairy, where his great shadowy astral projection was also greatly on top of the monster statue, as with all the other members, including the leader himself of the organization, who also exactly began continuing to stealing the water fairy to considering the water fairy's powers and abilities inside the monster statue, as the other member told the other members of the organization that the three-man team will continue with their goals and with their true missions as long as it doesn't exactly interfere with the purpose of the organization itself and with its true missionary as well. And Zacchaeus Douglas began to exactly agree on that, despite him remaining silent, which tells the other member that he also completely agrees with the decision and also with the opinion as well. On the actual 29th of November, Zacchaeus Douglas was quietly present during the meeting where the iron, where the great iron mask man, was quietly present as he told the other super ancient, the other super criminal groups to join forces with the organization, which he quietly believes that the alliance is quietly worth it due to them exactly gaining more information and due to the Shadow Empire still crumbling in chaos and still spiraling out of control, and due to the death of the original Lord of Magic's forces and them spiraling out of chaos, which he believes that the alliance is worth it. And Zacchaeus Douglas was quietly present during the meeting. As the leader of the group began sitting on the seat of the organization's hideout and tells the members of the organization that their plan and goal is quietly simple. It's for them to execute the great Phoenician elders and leaders of the council in order for them to suffer the same catastrophic damage and pain that they managed to cause throughout the other great sacred clans and nation in doing so as well. In the process, Zacchaeus Douglas exactly did his best to enlighten the leader of the group that the great elders would be heavily to be protected by the ones on below, and the universal heroes would gladly exactly take interference in protecting the great elders of the great Phoenician hunters, the great Phoenician hunter consuls, and of the sacred great nation elders as well in the process, which will result in an all-out battle and in an all-out war. Regardless of that, the Iron Maskman proposed a different way to dealing with the problem, rather to resulting in brutal force. And the leader of the group sounded very much completely intrigued without using brutal force, and he listened to the proposition. The Iron Maskman exactly told him, instead of them trying to eliminate the greatest opponents and the forces which will attract the attention of the universal heroes, which is not exactly what they don't exactly want right now, it's best if they use the great forbidden power of the great monsters of the dark dimension, since each member of the organization is able to utilize the powers of the monsters of the dark dimension, and due to their allies on the other side was able to also supply them with unlimited forbidden technology and greater knowledge and greater techniques, they can easily demolish their greatest opponents and their enemies in the process without any further loose ends or further compromisations to be exposed in the actual aftermath. The leader of the group was quietly intrigued as he told them how far they're willing to exactly solidify the organization's goals with its plans now that the demise of the great original Lord of Magic has managed to pave a way for them in the actual effect, which will speed up the process. The Iron Masked Man exactly told the leader of the group that now that their plans have quietly been taking a huge different effect, and due to the Universal Heroes interference and the other sinister organizations such as the Order of the Five and the Founders who are still continuing with their goals and their preparations or their planning, that they have decided to take in a different effective turn in a different way in order to avoid heavy scrutiny and heavy attention, which they don't exactly require now. And it's best for them to remain low in order to gather the missing variables and the missing powers they need to fulfill their great plans and their goals in a very faster way. And Zack and his Darkest began to agree with the Iron Masked Man as well in the process. On the on the actual 15th of December, Zacchaeus Darkest was completely exactly remaining through his ancient cave, which is an ancient cave that's quietly buried within the ocean islands, which houses a laboratory island, where one of his Phoenician hunters, one of the dark evil Phoenician hunters, began to exactly telling him that he must exactly see this. Zacchaeus Darkest entered a chamber full of cryogenetic monsters and creatures that are quietly highly kept in hyper sleep, where Zacchaeus Darkest was able to meet up with the Phoenician hunter scientists and exactly able to telling him that they were able to exactly synthesize as much of the creature's bloodlines and DNA, but in doing so, they were able to exactly grant him a powerful genetic supernatural serum, which will make him highly immortal and very invincible in the process. But serum's powers has a the serum's powers have a rather different effect. They will exactly grant him greater powers and greater abilities, but the great advantage, or rather the disadvantage of the serum is will either Zacchaeus Darkest lose his forbidden powers, or he will either lose the great technique he was able to be granted with due to the enhanced abilities he's about to get to the serum, as the Phoenician hunter scientist began telling him that. Zacchaeus Darkest exactly told the Phoenician hunter scientist that he knows the person who is worthy enough to have this serum. One person who can exactly take it. He doesn't need it because his powers and abilities have highly adapted and have also highly evolved over time. He knows exactly who he has to give it to. On the on the 8th of January, Zacchaeus Darkest took it upon himself to reconvene with the Shadow Empire warlord on his different base of operation, which was quietly on a different battle cruiser, and he exactly offered him the serum in return. The Shadow Empire warlord was quietly highly suspicious and highly observant of the serum, and asked Zacchaeus Darkest what he gained by giving him the serum. Zacchaeus Darkest only told him that to one ally to another, they do share common interest to allowing the universal heroes to fulfill their plans, and that they have to be destroyed and eliminated once and for all, which is what they do share in common. And the Shadow Empire warlord and commander agreed on that, and he decided to take the serum in order to further his plan and his goal in the actual process as well. On the 13th of February, Zacchaeus Darkest began projecting a shadowy astral projection of himself during the ancient cave. This time, this cave had different statues of monsters and creatures and goblins and trolls that were quietly unmentioned and unknown throughout sacred magic's history as well in the process. And the other sinister ancient criminals and super villains began projecting the same astral projections on all of themselves, and the mysterious iron mask figure of his shadowy astral projection was also quietly present during the meeting, this time in order to listen exactly what was continuing. Zacchaeus Darkest began to explaining to the members of the organization that the serum is actually ready, fulfilling its true purpose and its true mission the way it's supposed to be, and that it's really continuing its true goal and its true mission, which means that their plans can now taking place right now, by them exactly watching from behind the scenes while their plans taking preparation. And the leader began to agree, now that everything else is falling according to place, they will just allow the show to commence the way it's supposed to be. In doing so, he will create a powerful, different dark shapeshifting technique, which will only create to two different newest members, so that the clones of themselves will begin fighting the universal heroes in the forefront of the battle, while they will be exactly continuing with the operation in the full shadows. And the other members began to agree that is the wise strategy and the wise engineering of the plan itself. And Zacchaeus Darkest began to agree on that as well. On the 27th of March, Zacchaeus Darkest exactly was able to meet up with the other members of the organization due to a different base of operation, where he was able to telling them that they all have the assignments and they all have their missions, and that they must continue them the way that was quietly given, and that the operatives and all the agents are ready to continue out with their plans and with their goals. And they all agree on that. The two members teleported themselves completely as they disappeared completely, while the others were quietly with Zackent teleported themselves well completely. On the actual 10th, on the actual 13th of April, Zackent Darkus was able to reconvene with his minions on a different dark crystal temple, where he told them now that the dark energy spell ultimate power is quietly kept in the dark forbidden pocket dimension, it'll be up to them in order for them to use a forbidden ultimate dark technique of a spell in order to conjure it and bring the dark energy spell ultimate power to this dimension, for them to utilizing its power and its ultimate power and dark power for their own sinister plans, and the goals of the organization will finally be able to bear fruit as he begins to reassure his minions and his operatives of that, and his minions were all satisfied with how the plan has begun taking effective action as well. Excuse me. Despite this, guys, Zackent Darkus is a very powerful, sinister, dark and all-powerful dark Phoenician hunter who is rumored to be known to be ruthless, insane, mad, and very, very, very driven by darkness, and power. He's a descendant of the darkest family of greater Phoenician hunters, and he's a former member of the previous alliance of the Phoenician hunters and a former member of the Shadow Force, which he began exactly colluding with Valak Hellfire, who became his long-lasting friend and comrade in the process. He was quietly saddened by the great death and demise of Valak Hellfire and by the great death of the original Lord of Magic, who became his closest comrades and friends, who three of them exactly began sharing their goals and their true mission of trying to recreate the sacred world and the sacred universe in a better way. They could actually make it in a result of trying to annihilate the supernaturals, aliens, superhumans, and the Phoenician hunters and the heroes that might actually be born in the far future of the conflict as well. Regardless of that, Zackent Darkus is a true believer in the mission of the organization's goals and its true ideology, and he understands the organization's goals better than all the other members, and he quietly completely believes in it as well. He managed to exactly recuperate and reconnect with his long trusted, worthiest friend and colleague within the shadowy ancient criminal elite organization, which he viewed as his greatest friend. Due to that, he was able to be angered by him, telling him what actually made him exactly take too long to revealing himself and to showing his true identity. The masked man exactly told him that he had to take different drastic turns and measures to protecting himself and also to keeping his existence a secret. In regardless of that, the Iron Masked Man began exposing his true face to Zackent Darkus, telling him that he completely trusted him and that he completely sees him as his closest as well, due to them exactly sharing a very powerful connection of their own friendship to their own goals and to their own ideology as well. It was also thanks to the thanks to the fallen, who's also one of the most powerful dark Phoenician hunters mentioned throughout Phoenician Hunter history, that he was also able to secretly collaborate with the original Lord of Magic and with Valak Hellfire in the process as well. Regardless of that, their connection made some of them exactly believe in their goals and their obligation, and also made them all exactly become friends and long-time collaborators to furthering their plans and their goals, which they all understood exactly where they all come from and where they all exactly literally see each other's perspectivity. Despite that, Zackent Darkus is a very greater forbidden Phoenician hunters with a greater power and a greater dark mysterious abilities of the darkest family of the Phoenician hunters, with the ability of teleportation, ability of opening portals, ability of conjuring a shadowy astral projection of himself, and also the ability of super speed, telekinesis, telekinesis, telepathic communication, mind controlling, the ability of manipulating water energy, lightning energy, the ability of manipulating water energy and lightning energy, fire energy, and also nature energy, and also with the ability of mastering the shadow technique and the light technique, and also with the ability of telepathic communication, super speed, super strength, long gravity, immortality, durability, the power, the greater ability of the greater ability of enhancementship, and the greater ability of swordsmanship, marksmanship, the greater ability of swordsmanship, marksmanship, super strength and also endurance, and also greater endurance, and agility as well. Super regenerative healing powers which is being granted of, and the power of greater super perception, the greater of super perception abilities and abilities of detecting and sensing opponents and enemies in a far greater distance as well, and also with the abilities of seeing through powerful invisible obstacles through his own perception, due to his own perception of powers and great abilities as well, which are also granted him as well in a long process. He's extremely immortal and extremely powerful, very dark and very invincible Formation Hunter, who has also been granted greater Dark Formation Hunter followers who believe in his goals and his true mission and his true ideology, and he's very determined and very patient with his mission, highly relentless and very persuasive, very good in manipulation, very good in manipulation and also in deception, and also very quietly good in manipulating events and sacred wars and conflicts in a process, that him and his followers are willing to gain more dark powers and more dark abilities in a process in order to enhance their powers and their abilities and their techniques in order for them to take in control of the sacred worlds and of the known worlds of the sacred universe, in order for them to begin annihilating the rest of the other creatures of the sacred universe. He's very good in maintaining his actual greater individual basis of operation, such as his central headquarters, which is an ancient powerful cave where it houses all his dark experiments notation as well. Despite that, Zackent's darkest was quietly once a former greater honorable Formation Hunters, but due to that becoming a former greater loving and honored Formation Hunters, with him experimenting on himself with the shadow energy serum and with the supernatural bloodline, with the supernatural creature's blood and DNA, he became a very quietly a freaking mad and insane Dark Formation Hunters was quietly twisted enough to continue with the plans and the goals of the original Lord of Magic. He believes in the goals of the original Lord of Magic, and he still believes in them, even if he quietly exactly has died. He still believes in them, and despite that, he quietly knows that the universal heroes and the allies pose a threat to the goals of the organization, and he learns from his feelings to never repeat them due to him clashing with the allies and with his friends as well. He's very optimistic, highly observant, very keen-minded, good in dark experiment notation, good in using fire energy, and all the elemental aspects of nature to his greater powers. Very good with the very good in developing new powers and new forbidden techniques and dark abilities as well. Good in greater collecting knowledge, very good in collecting greater knowledge, and also very good in memorizing everything in his own collaborative mind as well. Super strategist, super tactician, very good in forming super shadowy alliances with one of the most dangerous ancient super criminals ever known and ever unknown throughout Formation Hunter history, and also unknown throughout Sacred history as well. He's very highly independent and very good and trustworthy with the organization's secrets, and very powerful. He's a benevolent evil force of a Dark Formation Hunter, cruel, ruthless, and merciless in nature, and very highly optimistic, good with the power of converging energy, with the power of manipulating air energy, and the power of conjuring all different forbidden techniques and powers. All with the power of greater of using and manipulating all different forbidden techniques of shadow powers, with the greater ability of manipulating shadow powers, and with the greater of manipulating light based powers as well, which has been granted as well due to his greater forbidden techniques and powers. And he's also gained the attention of the dark druids, the dark witches, and the dark faithful, which he also began utilizing their resources for his goals and for his plans, and also granting them his resources for their goals and for their plans, which they also became allies and also quietly good in forming sinister secretive allies with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders, with the most powerful, ruthless, dangerous dark fairies, witches, warlocks, and wizards as well, to fulfilling their goals and aiding them on their respective goals. Granted with the power of interdimensional, with the interdimensional portaling and also teleportation as well. Well, that's it for today, guys. I'll exactly see you tomorrow on Wednesday, and enjoy your day and enjoy your great day and have a blessed, great week and take care of yourself as well. Today's episode was about Zackent's Darkest, which I'll try to find a way in order to either say the story of Zackent's Darkest as well. But either way, enjoy your day and have a great blessed day. Appreciate your support. Take care of yourself, have fun, and stay blessed and stay happy and stay quietly cool and stay sharp and be very happy and be very alert and aware of everything else around us and everyone else around us. And stay safe and stay happy. See you tomorrow and take care of yourself and love you all and have a blessed day. Bye.